Hello, everybody. Um, I just, I'm trying to keep this somewhat within context. Um, so there's a flow that you can follow. I'm calling this section Autobiography of an Ego, the 20s and 30s. Um, and I might add right now, for those that are students of A Course in Miracles, and this is a concept that gave me, I didn't quite understand it for a long time, and it makes sense now. That time flows in both directions. It doesn't just go as we think in, straight ahead. And the reason that the Course talks about this is that as soon as we get stuck on a belief, it's throwing us into the past where we formed that belief. And so that's where, the timeline flows both ways, in the future and then to the past. Because again, what we're dealing with is all mind. Because really what I'm sharing this for is it's autobiography of an ego, but it's the training of one ego mind, mine. um, so in the 20s, there were many beliefs that followed me out of my childhood. And I kind of spent about 50 years really, digging grooves in my mind that these were true. And it took me a while to uncover them. That's why the earlier you can start the mind training, I think it would be easier because you just haven't, dug in with so many beliefs that it takes you a little bit longer to dig yourself out of them. I mean, some of mine from childhood were men are not to be trusted, fat is not good, watch what you eat very carefully, anger is bad. Okay. And those, it took me a while to unwrap those. I had many lessons in all of those topics. And just to also, for those that aren't A Course in Miracles students, um, and I need to remind myself of this all the time too. A core truth in A Course in Miracles is this: God did not create any of this. This world that we see is not created by God. What we see is good or bad. And that's a huge falsity that many of us fall into. And until you really get, oh, I'm creating this in my mind, and I have to undo it in my mind. There's no fixing anything. And again, that was a big one for me: fix broken things. Um, So God is just love. That's all God is. And everything else I make up. And I made up a lot of shadows to protect myself from the things I didn't like anger is bad. Well, I avoided angry people like crazy, even though it was my own anger, because I was projecting it out on everybody. Um, Here's from chapter 22 in the text. So my beliefs of anger is bad, men are not to be trusted, fat is not good, watch what you eat very carefully. This is in the text, they talk those as illusions. All of those are illusory thoughts. One illusion cherished and defended: men are not to be trusted, fat is not good, anger is bad. So one illusion cherished and defended against the truth, which is love, makes all truth meaningless, which means you can't access love while holding on to these illusions. It's impossible. And all illusions real. So then the illusion becomes real. Yeah, men are not to be trusted, fat is not good. And so I had to take each one separately when it came up. I didn't dig through, don't dig, no digging. As something would happen and I'd have a thought about myself, oh God, I need to lose some weight. Yes, then I dealt with it. Then I worked with it really uncompromisingly so. Um, so that is such an, okay, so let me read this sentence over. One illusion cherished and defended against the truth makes all truth meaningless and all illusions real. Such is the power of belief. Okay, that's what we're dismantling, all beliefs. So, so 20s and 30s. So I went to college. Um, a lot of stories there of, every time I need to go in a certain direction, something occurs um, to turn me around. Okay. And usually those are not things that I like. Okay. So for me, it was the rape in college. I was heading off in a different direction, and the rape stopped me in my tracks and allowed me to take off in a different direction, um, which was the better, easier path to seeing all in love. Okay. So at that time, I went out to Phoenix, Arizona. I'd never been there. I was in Delaware, the University of Delaware, and I went out to Phoenix. I'd never been there before. And it was hot and dry, and I really was tired of muggy. I didn't care for humidity. So I went to Phoenix and I met a lot of other angry women. Surprise, surprise. I was attracting them to me. And they were all disenfranchised from whatever worlds they came from. And so we started acting out this anger together and fighting for causes, civil rights and women's rights, and um, against rape and empower women. And the list is endless. Politics also became a focus. And I saw politics as, and this was a huge dismantle, saw politics all as inherently evil, and they were all run by men, and that fed into my men are not to be trusted. And then I saw them all as manipulating me so then I could become the victim. Ugh, there was a lot to unwrap in that one. And I need to say, politics, it was so amazing. Bernie, I can't remember his name, he was from Vermont. It was the election where Bernie, anyway, he was running, and I really liked him and I wanted to vote for him. But he was running on the Democratic Party, I think. And I was an independent. And so I had to switch my party over to the Democratic Party so that I could vote for him in the primary, which is what I wanted to do. So I went down and did all this paperwork, switched it. And there was a lot of stuff on the news at the time about how people were being stopped at the voting booth because their switch from parties didn't take effect, and so they were not allowed to vote. Well, that's what happened to me. And I was in this city office voting something. Anyway, there was a big white desk separating us from the people that worked there. And then there were a lot of desks outside, and around the back wall, there were these private offices. And they told me that I couldn't vote in the primary because I was not a Democrat. And I told them, look, I came in here and switched this months ago, blah, 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 blah. It was an upset. It was just a conflict that resulted in an upset. And so, and true to my beautiful Irish nature, I started getting rather loud with my upset. And I wasn't even sure what was occurring out of my mouth, but I saw people coming from these back offices, coming out of their offices to see what was going on. And I finally left the office. I'm not going to be voting in this election. And I was just fuming as I walked back to my car. And it was back in the days when you had a car, you had to put the key in the lock to open the lock. And I remember as I was putting the key in the lock, I had this aha. I call it revelation, and I've had them many times. And the revelation was this: honey, you are not to be voting for anyone, because in the nature of voting, you're saying one person is better than another. And what we're attempting to do is for you to see we're all the same. There is no good person and bad person. And this did serious damage to this belief that men are not to be trusted, and men are this and men are that and men are this. And it's like it really dismantled that in that. And because I took it, it was just like, these revelations are, you get the lesson immediately. And it's like, you can almost hear an audible pop as your mind changes. And so I never voted again. And I really it's like they're all perfect. Absolutely. Trump is perfect. Whoever who's running against him is perfect. They're all perfect. I'll get what I need because everything is a lesson I must learn. It's not about getting the right person in office. It's about me getting my mind straight. Okay, so that was, and again, the 20s and 30s were just a whole couple of decades that deepened my belief and kind of helped start shaking things up to see things differently. But I still wasn't seeing a lot differently. I still worked on a lot of causes and a lot of anti-government stuff. Still, I still felt a victim to the government and what they were doing. And that took a long time to dismantle as well, piece by piece by piece. There was, I really hit the wall with men at some point. And I became a lesbian separatist for a short period of time until I really found it really hard to say that I didn't like all men, because there were a lot of young boys of women I knew that I loved dearly. And so I had to back out of the separatist thing and come back into a world of just hating some men, not all. So here, this is from chapter 16. All that must be forgiven are the illusions you have held against your brothers. Only illusions can be forgiven. God holds nothing against anyone, for he is incapable of illusions of any kind. Release your brothers from the slavery of their illusions by forgiving them for the illusions you perceive in them. Okay, that's pull back the projection. Thus will you learn that you have been forgiven. So by forgiving others, and again, this goes back to A Course in Miracles, there's nothing to forgive out there. The only thing is to forgive is my thinking it in my mind, because my mind is in charge of everything I see and believe. So I have to clean that out so I can get on the right track. Yeah, politics was a major forgiveness area. And all this was involved with fixing broken things. I was committed to fixing broken things, and I saw the world as completely broken. Okay. Oh, this is just, I don't know why this memory came up, but I'm going to share it. I used to ride my horses in the Fiesta Parade in Santa Fe, New Mexico. There was one big holiday, Fiesta. It was in September, I think, early September. Anyway, and I started out by just dressing up and, riding in the parade and having a good time. And now over the 30 years I lived there, by the last time I was in the Fiesta Parade, there was, if maybe some of you can remember, back in the 60s, there was a big old school bus. It was a photographer, and I can't remember her name. She took a lot of pictures of all the different people on her bus. Anyway, she lived in Santa Fe, and she was driving it in the Fiesta Parade. So I joined with many hippies that were into conspiracy theories, and we walked alongside the bus and rode in the bus. And in that ride, I mean, I wasn't just playing and having fun with my horses. I was handing out DVDs. It was loose change. It was conspiratorial look at 9/11. And I handed out over 800, just spreading good news everywhere I went. And I've forgiven myself for it, but it was funny. It was like, that's how deeply shadowed my mind was. And I had to get very present with, it's only me seeing this, no one else is. And none of it's true. None of it's true. Not, yes, there were conspiracies. No, none of it's true. And here from chapter 30, you will attack what does not satisfy. You will attack what does not satisfy. And thus you will not see you made it up. you always fight illusions. And I was a fighter. And I now see they were all illusions. And hence, that's really why I'm doing all of these recordings, is to share with you some of my illusions and how I healed them. One illusion at a time. There's no quick fix with this, okay? Just you're in for the long haul and hang on. I say, you're on a bucking bronco in your mind. Hang on, and hang on. From chapter 22, such is the power of belief. It cannot compromise, and faith in innocence is faith in sin. If the belief excludes one living thing and holds it out apart from its forgiveness, this is if I have faith in sin, it's because I'm hanging on to a belief that prevents me from forgiving myself. And that's, each one has to be gone through. And it's a simple process. As soon as you see the thought run across your mind, I don't know, equal rights, women need equal rights. It is just, oh, no, can't go there. Holy Spirit, help me see this differently. Just help me see this differently. That's all. And then allow it to take place. And if it doesn't, the next time you think, oh, we need equal rights for women. Nope. Holy Spirit, help me see this differently. Be uncompromising with your mind training. It'll just be so much faster and you'll suffer so much less. It's all about the suffering. So my primary desire to make the world a better place. Oh yeah, and it was later that I sorted out my I be single desires. But for 20 or so years, I was obsessed with fixing errors I saw in the world. And this is not only equal rights, civil rights, US out of Vietnam, Nicaragua, El Salvador. I did a lot of that. So many causes, so little time. And I finally went to chiropractic school. So I got a degree in fixing people rather than causes. I switched it more to fixing people one-on-one. And, for 30 years, I was a chiropractor and they'd come to me and, this hurts. I've got a headache, my low back, my feet, my legs, whatever. And it was all about fixing broken people. And I held this idea that somehow with chiropractic, I was doing something. But the reality was, I was doing nothing. And I'm going to switch kind of quite ahead in the parable because it was such a valuable one for me. At one point in my practice, I noticed I was just coming home beaten up every day, beaten up, just felt exhausted and just not happy. And I sat with it in contemplation, and I really saw that what I was being beaten up by is people were sharing what they saw as broken about themselves, because my first question to any patient was, how are you feeling? What's going on? And then, they would be very honest about it. Well, my arms are tingling, my legs hurt, my feet are swollen, whatever it was. And I couldn't hear it anymore. So I had this idea. I like to play a lot of games in my mind training because it helped me kind of put the fun in the mind training. And so I did this one. I thought I'm going to lose all my patients, but at this point, I really didn't care. It's like I had to do something different. So I made this new rule when people came in to see me that there was, I didn't want them to tell me what they saw as wrong. And I wasn't going to address it either. I was going to do whatever I was going to do on them. And we could either be silent or they could tell me what they loved about their lives. And it was almost immediate. I started coming home and I felt so great, so uplifted. I mean, there was no time at all. And it was like, wow, this is what the complaint does. It just tears us all down. And if you watch the news, you get it. It's like you may have been fine when you turned the news on, and by the time the news is over, you have like 50 things you now have to worry about and fix. And now I can watch the news and it doesn't affect me at all because I really get it's my projection. and it doesn't hook me. I get, oh God, yeah, I remember when I believed that and blah, blah, blah. So the chiropractic fulfilled several things for me. Um, okay, so I was not okay. That was, core belief down at the foundation. And somehow by getting an education, I would have some recognition as, oh, she's a doctor, you know. And I thought that was funny because I didn't see it, but I also knew that it was fixing something. And it was, mom and dad, I wasn't okay. And even, well, when I was graduating from chiropractic school, my mother said to me, "Oh, honey, I love you so much. I just wish you were a normal doctor." And now this just still makes me laugh. Okay, so I'm not a normal doctor. And oh, there was something I saw quickly. David Hoffmeister said, "Do not be normal." Just shared with one of his satsangs. Do not be normal. Dare to not be normal. And I say that too. It's like normal, oh, it's just way overrated. And we're trying to fit in to a box that will be acceptable by most. And, get out of the box, destroy the box, burn the box. Boxes cannot exist in God's mind. They can't exist. So, jump off many cliffs and get yourself in a position where, you're a free spirit. Yeah. So chiropractic school was this, okay, I'm going to get an education. I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to have a title. And all I can say is I paid a lot of money to shove in so many more beliefs about cause and effect, because any medicine, chiropractic, alternative, anything is based on cause and effect. And if you read A Course in Miracles, Google cause and effects in the search text, it will bring up so much that Jesus had to say about cause and effect, because the only cause there is love, which results in love. But these cause and effects, like, oh, don't get a vaccine because you'll weaken your immune system. I mean, all that stuff are just beliefs that we really believe and get very outraged about and take on as causes and all this. And all I can say is read about cause and effect from Jesus. Jesus is my main teacher at this point. And Holy Spirit, keeps me turning right or left. And also chiropractic was, I couldn't fix my mother or father. And as a child, that's what I really attempted to do. I wanted them to be happy. I really wanted them to be happy because I knew if they were happy, the house would be happy and we'd all be much happier. And that didn't work. So I took it on as a career. I was going to fix people because I thought, well, maybe that would be helpful. I couldn't fix them, but maybe there are others I can fix. And but I saw everyone as broken because that's the nature of diagnosis. And I don't know who in medicine doesn't take a diagnosis class. It's to seek out what's broken, find fault with what is in form. And and all I can say is just take this on in contemplation. Just look at this. Look at your thoughts when I say this. If you want to make me wrong, believe me, many have, and that's fine. I don't take it personally. I am one woman in the world that just took A Course in Miracles and became uncompromising with it. That's really all I can say. I mean, to the point that, yeah, I was fixing animals, animal rights. Oh, this went so deep, fixing broken things. The one thing I was missing in the 20s and 30s was I was not seeing that I was projecting broken things. Not only just did I see them, I was projecting them because I still felt broken. And so until I was able to really heal that projection, a lot of craziness occurred, a lot of suffering occurred. That's really all I can say. And to end this, I just need to be real clear. This is one of the tenets of A Course in Miracles, and it's critical to the mind training. Everything that happens in your life is a lesson you must learn. So don't blame anything outside yourself. Don't blame yourself for the lesson. Accept the lesson and ask to see it differently. Make that a constant prayer. And again, some of these will be tough. Cancer took me about 10 years. Every time another thought would come, oh my God, I'm nauseous. Oh my God, I've got pain. Oh my God, my feet are swollen. Every time any of those thoughts came up, I was in prayer. Holy Spirit, help me see this differently, and had to really focus on it and stay with it. And like I said, it's like riding a buck and bronc, man. You just hang on. Don't let go. Anyway, so, you know, I want to be truly happy, and I want to share with others of how I finally got here. And that's another reason for these recordings. So with that being said, bye everybody. Have a great day. Now let's see if I can turn how to stop the recording. Bye.